Hi guys, welcome to Wisdom. In this video, I will be discussing about flowchart in detail. A flowchart is a pictorial or graphical representation of a solution to any problem. Few advantages of flowcharts include flowcharts provide an excellent means of communication which is very easy to understand. It has got a definite procedure which shows all the major parts of a program. It is easy to convert into a program. It is independent of programming languages. That is, it does not contain any programming statements. It is easy to debug. That means it is easy to check for errors as every step has got its own logical sequence. Some of its disadvantages are it is time consuming as it requires the use of a number of symbols which are to be properly represented. The representation of a complex logic is very difficult in a flowchart. Any alterations or modifications can be only made by redrawing the flowchart. To develop a flowchart, first we need to clearly understand the problem statement so that a proper flowchart can be made. Next, study the outputs to be generated so that the inputs can be specified. Then, design the process which will produce the desired result after taking the inputs. And then, finally, test the flowchart by giving the test data and see if the desired output is generated. If not, make appropriate changes in the process and repeat the process. Here are few basic symbols which are used to develop a flowchart. The first one is the terminal. It is represented by an oval, which indicates the beginning and the end of the flowchart. We usually start and stop a flowchart using this symbol. Next, we have the input-output, which is represented by a parallelogram. It is used to input the data or to display the output. Then we have the symbol for processing, which is represented by a rectangle. If we have to perform any calculations, we will use this symbol. Next, we have the decision, which is represented by a rhombus. It represents a comparison, a question, or a decision that determines alternative paths to be followed. Next is the preparation. This is also known as looping. In this, we usually use the instructions which have to be repeated again and again. Then we have the connector, which can be an entry point or an exit to another part of the flowchart. And then we have the flow directions, which shows the flow of the instructions in a flowchart. To go with a simple example, here we have a flowchart to find the sum of two numbers. Initially, we start the flowchart using the terminal symbol. Before finding the sum of two numbers, we need to input two numbers. For that, we will use the input-output symbol. If we consider 10 and 20 as the two numbers, then 10 will be the value stored in the variable num1 and 20 will be the value stored in the variable num2. The next step after giving the inputs is the processing part, where we will compute the sum of two numbers for which we use the processor symbol. And here the two values, that is 10 and 20, which are stored in num1 and num2, are added and the total will be stored in the variable sum. After processing, we will display the value stored in the variable sum, which is 30, as the output, for which we are again using the input-output symbol, and then stop the flowchart using the terminal symbol. Here is another example to find the largest of two numbers. Initially, we start the flowchart using the terminal. Then we need two values as input to find which is the largest, for which we use the input-output symbol. If we consider 10 and 20 as the two values which will be stored in the variables a and b respectively, then we need to find which is the largest. For this, we are using the decision symbol because we have to use a condition to check which is the largest value. Here we will have two outcomes. One is when the condition is true and one more when the condition is false. Now, based on the input values which we have taken, we have the value of A as 10 and B as 20. So here we are checking whether 10 is greater than 20. Based on this, the condition is false because 10 is not larger than 20. So the control of the flowchart flows towards the false side where we display the value of B, that is 20, as the output, telling that it is the largest value. And after displaying the output, we stop the flowchart using the terminal symbol. On the other hand, if we had taken the value of A as 20 and B as 10 for the inputs, then when we check the condition, it would be true now. That is, 20 is greater than 10. And hence, the control of the flowchart flows towards the true side. Then we display the value of A, that is 20, as the output, telling that it is the largest value. And finally, we stop the flowchart using the terminal. This is how we can develop flowcharts. You are free to comment if you have any queries related to this video. For more informative videos, please like, share and subscribe. Have a nice day.